Hi, good morning. My name is Kelly Mitchell. Today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. So, I'm going to do a reading for the stars, and I have a lot of information coming through, so I do apologize if it's choppy. And I know I say repeat words sometimes, and I do not mean to frustrate you with that. And oftentimes, when I say I know that can be annoying, but I'm trying to formulate situations so that you may have an understanding of what I'm trying to say. So I'm trying to describe something, and I often say that word and I apologize. Okay, so what I have right now during this reading is I have a group of people that are watching another person, and that person would be over here. This is the person being watched, and then over here we have a group of people watching. So the same Queen of Cups is also this Queen of Wands, and she's this Nine of Swords, okay? And then I have a group of people, and then we'll call the group of people will represent this card right here, which is the Control card, and that's Jupiter and Virgo in the 10th house. You can say it whichever direction you want. So we're focusing, so this is the group of people here, and you can honestly identify them however you want, but we would say they would be the ones that are in control, okay? You would feel like they were in control of you and decisions that you could make, possibly hanging on to your finances. So this is in control of your daily living, okay? So, Virgo is really concerned with routines, taking care of the body, and really focusing on your daily life, okay? And then, Jupiter is expansion and learning, but at the same time, this person in control or this group in control sort of has the ability, whether you like it or not, to tell you what you can do and what you cannot, okay? So this is the group. And so what we have is this same person, and it can be a man or a woman, but I'm just going to describe, sort of who they are on the inside, okay? So we have this group over here, and they're watching this Queen of Cups. And so this is a group of professionals today. I'm going to say that. And we talked about monitors, and let's say that you've gotten to the level where you've been able to bring a realist type of person into your conversation to show them maybe some proof you have or evidence or just something that is enough to have this person over here be like, you know what, let me sit in on this today and really see what's going on here, because they know that something's going on. They're definitely a person of logic and profession. They might even have a profession where they're in control of this type of governmental situation, or be have the final say, or they might be a CEO, or they might be a professional where they're really at the top, and sort of all of their employees kind of started their own side business underneath. And then this person, it's like almost like they bought a house and they're renting it and they haven't been to their house in a decade or something like that. It could be something, a location where a person is, has a location and then they rent it out to someone else. That could be office buildings. So I'm saying office buildings. I'm also seeing houses, okay? I'm also seeing like Airbnbs, but let's step aside on that because this is a little bit bigger. But so this is somebody that either has a lot of money or has like the final say, all right? And it could be anything from you're in charge of the law, or you have money and you sort of own the space. And so somebody or someone has convinced you to kind of sit in on this to get a bigger perspective. I kind of feel like that's what this is today. So this person in control over here, I would call them ignorant. You could definitely do that because they're not somebody that's ever watched a tarot reading before. One, two, when you're talking about any type of spirituality, if you're talking about any type of, you can call them aliens or conspiracy theories or anything like that, especially if you're going to talk about witchcraft or black magic. And even though some people understand what that is, especially a victim that has seen it, but when you talk to somebody like that in the public, they honestly do think you're crazy, especially if you don't know what it is and you're not the victim. When we serious, because if you're the person sending, negative attacks on someone, you're certainly not going to talk about it. So to find somebody to believe you that it's real, you have to be the victim that convinces someone on a complete outside to take a chance on you. So that's kind of what we are today. So there's a group of people. This group of people is anywhere. So like there's the ones that they've brought in that have the power, okay? And then this group of people over here, these are genuinely good-hearted people. And they also, whoever this Queen of Wands is and the Nine of Swords, these people are viewing this as a very innocent person. So if it's something with the law, if it is something where somebody was possibly misdiagnosed with something, or there was an error made somewhere, because these are professional people. So someone's like, this person does not deserve this, or like, you need to realize this. Like, we can't classify everyone into a group. They're all the same. Like, you have to get on a list and then just follow the list. Like, where is your standard of measure on different types of people? Like, this person not only is a very good healer, a very creative, nurturing kind person, you are completely misunderstanding the situation. So whoever these other people are, those are the ones where I was talking about, the groups of people coming together to try to solve a mystery or just figure out the truth. So they don't even have to know this Queen of Cups or Queen of Wands or Nine of Swords person. It's all the same person. They don't have to know them, but they do understand that there's a lot of secrets happening, and then this person is in a lot of pain, and they don't deserve it because of the person that they are, and how they conduct their life is very different to all the other people on the list. Like, you do have to consider the individual in every situation. You really do. You can't just put a bunch of people together and be like, well, it's their fault and they're all together. And you've got mental illnesses, you have certain addictions, you have people who are just getting out of committing crimes, or, still committing crimes, and you have people in crisis, you have people who are physically ill. So you have, everybody should be considered as an individual. Like, something about the system is not working because whoever is in control here runs the system or has the money, okay? And then, so this Queen of Cups and Queen of Wands person is a very healing type of person, balancing. And this specific deck here, I mean, you're not only talking about ancient healing and how we evolved. When you see that, I'm drawing a blank now. Shoot, hopefully I remember it. But I don't know if it's called the Caduceus. It's possible. I honestly can't remember all of a sudden I'm blanking. But if you're talking about traditional healing through many different levels, and I do admit I don't really know much about history and geography. Though I'm really weak on those two. So if I ever get a break, those will be my studies. But this is something that, when you're talking about specifically medical and healthcare and how it's evolved, and I mean, you can say that there is myths and legends and stories everywhere, but when you do go back and see artifacts, I mean, you can see these symbols. And so if you're going to even have a book on it, and there's that many from that many different locations, and you're talking about health, I mean, even though the symbol evolves and changes, you still see, an ancient original somewhere in many locations. Okay, and then specifically, you're talking about healing. So this is a very serious profession that evolves over time, and that is why we were given technology, okay? And you're talking about it, just, I won't even go there. But so we excel and we increase in technology to be able to give health care that is true, that is real, but based on the original way to help people. I mean, there are certain vaccines. I mean, you can, politics aside, but there are certain vaccines that you can get to seriously prevent, measles, mumps, and rubella, and the chicken pox, and things that truly make people sick and die. I mean, so you do have the technology and the ability to do that now. If you don't mix any other things in there, and you don't try to change the vaccine, you don't try to change when you give the vaccine. I mean, if you kept it how it would be, how it was discovered, and how it was delivered to save people, then everybody would be okay from that specific disease, okay? So it's just as simple as that. And so whoever is over here is just viewing this, but especially if they're a medical professional, I mean, that is serious. We have learned how to treat people in proper doses. That is true. So now you're changing stuff, but real medicine, I mean, that's serious. Okay, so This person, this Queen of Wands and this Queen of Cups, has the ability to do healing, whether they know how to do, because this is an old ancient version of this, okay, of healing. And so you have a serpent, which could be a winged serpent of any kind. I'm gonna be honest, because you could consider this one being, or you can consider this several different species coming together to create healing, because as you know, with all healing, I mean, there's many ingredients, okay, and they work together. So it's very serious. If you're talking about invasive species and you're mixing and you're doing all this strange experiments, you can't go out into your backyard and pick all of the things that you need to create something healing for you. So this person, this Queen of Wands, has the ability to do some kind of healing, and it's an ancient kind of healing. And this person over here, however many there are, they're viewing this right now. That's what I'm saying. So what's happening over here is this person's getting severely attacked. Not only are they, all alone here, it's like they have a pillow and they're in the grass. Like they don't have anything. And they're definitely getting attacked very hard. And what's happened is this person's spirit team is being cut off, because you can see the divide here and you can only see this one. And it's like, it doesn't matter how much spirit team you have, but it's like that's their guides trying to get in to save them. That's your protection. Like all of a sudden when you're like, dang, how did I survive that? Or whoa, there's no way that just happened. It's because you have spirit team protecting you. And what these people are doing, whoever this moon is, which I'll get to. So this person's being very attacked. And I've had these cards outside in the snow. And if you do tarot or you have a certain deck, you don't want, if one gets ruined, you can't even use the deck anymore in case this card needs to come out in your next read. And it's like, this is the only card that's not drawing. And it just makes me so like this person is not healing appropriately like they should. So it makes me very saddened. Not only are they not letting this person have any type of ability or tools. Everybody says you can have a resource. A resource is a piece of paper. And everywhere you call is closed. It's not legitimate. I hate that one now. But this person has absolutely nothing. And not only that, they're getting attacked from all of these things. And not only are they getting attacked, they're being blocked off from any outside source that could possibly come to them, period, that could help them, okay? And that could be another human being from coming to picking them up and putting them in a place to stay, to anyone in their spiritual team that's just trying to fight off these psychic attacks, okay? And that's really serious. And it's the same person as this Queen of Wands and this Queen of Cups, and it's like she cannot heal. You're not giving her any kind of ability to heal. And it's really, really sad. And this person is a very creative person, a very lively, creative person. And they might seem eccentric, but they're very good at whatever they do, and creatively wise, okay? And even if someone thinks that it's too emotional or too weird or too outside of the box, because they have their own form of healing, they have their own way of living their life. It's simply that. But they're a very good creative person, and they're very good at what they do. And something is happening here where nobody is viewing these attacks. And it's like, even if anybody tried, it's like these almost feel like spirit team and animals like calling out, like, anybody, can you hear us? This person is getting attacked. And nobody is doing anything on this side. Okay, so it's actually really scary. Especially when you see her and she's not able to heal. And I don't like that. And nobody that it could help her can possibly get to her. This is not a criminal. This is not the Seven of Swords. This poor person is devastated and nobody's getting to them. It's really sad. I have to pause it for a second. Okay, hi again. Sorry about that. So what we're specifically talking about in the moment right now is a story that some individuals are having some other logical, realistic people in charge view in on. And they're talking about secrets, but they're also talking about psychic attacks and black magic and some historical things that possibly might come through, and how they're able to change the alchemy sort of, and because they're trying to figure out how come nobody can get through to this woman, okay? So these white birds over here they're the ones that are trying to convince the people in control of the situation. That's the story. So I'm going to move into the next part here that I'm supposed to talk about. Now, this goes back a long time because we were speaking about sort of maybe ancient healing, okay? And now we're talking about alchemy. So you have ancient healing that is taught through traditions, and it also matters the practitioner. And so you can, practitioner is a word for somebody who administers healing, okay? So that's combined with who they are, their specific energy combined with life force. And then they use that and other ingredients from the earth to try to create some type of healing. So we're talking ancient, okay? And so it has been changed over time, but there are certain ingredients of things that you can combine and mix to influence people. So now we're getting into more of psychic attack and black magic and changing people's perception to the point where they might not even be able to recognize something else. All right, like so they're getting in, so like they're getting in their body and then changing the way that they view something. So I don't know that much about science or anything, but it's almost like when you, hopefully I'm kind of correct and you can look it up or maybe you understand, but how you view an image or your eyes, it's some sort of reflection of something that's already like you're seeing in your brain. Like I don't know how that happens, but if you were changing something in the brain, it might change the what you can see. So I don't know that, but maybe you understand. Like you can look up how we see what we see. And then, so whatever this is, some people have found out how to change that. So it's not what everybody else sees, it's something else. And they're combining ancient things. And whatever this is, it's almost like invisible. So it could be something like a type of poison or something that they put in something you ingest that you just have no idea. And then it can also be these psychic attacks. So they call it real witchcraft from a distance. And then like I said, again, I don't know all of this, but if you have all these different miracles and you're able to fly planes and do all this kinds of stuff that's invisible, you have to put into context that they were also able to do some more stuff that you can't see. And that's why there's professionals who learn a very serious profession, for decades before that they're qualified to talk about or treat anyone. Anywhere from building a piece of equipment that someone's actually going to operate to taking care of someone else's health or well-being or structure of any kind. That's very serious. To be able to be in control of something like that, you need to be very knowledgeable of that. So you do have, at this point in 2026, you have every science out there mixing different things and trying to have discoveries, but you do acknowledge that there are certain forces that you cannot see. So if you're talking again, you're going back into ancient times, you might not have the full understanding because we only have bits and pieces of what you can dig up. But scientists do know that there's stuff that they cannot explain. So I'm specifically talking about things that someone might say, like, no way, there's no such thing, of taking over someone's body or vision, and there's no such thing as black magic, or like when we're going to talk about love potions and changing perception in a second, or taking over somebody's body so that they can steal, their spirit guides, steal, especially if you have an aunt, like, so we are descendants from something. Now we're human. How I like to think of it, or this is how I imagine it, is let's imagine, so you can get really out there for a second, but you could say that there's all these other planets up in the solar system, okay? Like I'm specifically thinking of planet Lyra for a moment because I'm seeing this, but so those are destroyed, okay? And then let's say everybody falls to planet Earth, because now planet Earth is in the center, okay? If you want to think about it like that, and then everything's kind of around planet Earth, and then it goes how it goes. But now, so it's like planet Earth would be the protection space for anybody that's lost their planet. And then you can think of aliens, or, when you're talking about spiritual warfare up in the stars, you can imagine they look like humans, okay? That's what they look like. So then you get to planet Earth, and you have all of these multi-beings. And then over time, because they're in danger, because then it's like you talk about we the people. Well, that's like all these little, pixies, like mean ones against a giant. Eventually, they're going to take a giant down. Like, I'm thinking of a movie I really like. It's a documentary. It's called Besiege Fortress. And it's a really good movie. But you should definitely watch it. Because I know the actor, and like I was saying, these monitors are like blanking his name because they don't want me or anyone else to remember this guy's name. He has a sister. He's also in Pushing 10, but it's not. See, and like they keep wanting me to say David Duchovny. My monitors, I'm telling you, I'm fighting this. So once they get inside, so like let's say something gets inside your brain. It could be anything from something that's airborne, like a virus, like. This is annoying because I'm trying to explain it to you in a way that is cohesive for me and you, but then I have all this interference. Like I can specifically see a scientist's face in my mind's eye right now who's literally in the way of me giving this information to you. So it's very frustrating for me. So here we are. We've lost all of our planets, and now we're here on planet Earth. And then aliens have come back down because now it's like, well, we found them. They're on planet Earth, and they look like human beings in lab coats, all right? So then over time, we keep getting attacked. So the Besiege Fortress that I was talking about, they're these fire ants. And so it's a documentary about termites and these different fire ants and ant colonies that come and attack. And then these termites. And then any just species or anything that's going by or in the way of these ants getting to the termites, they completely take over. I mean, there's like these huge snakes and everything else. And it's like, it's so sad to see like how they died of ant attack. It was crazy. It's something like that, okay? So eventually, over time, you can imagine, now we look like the aliens. Now we look like humans to protect ourselves. If you want to go way back, if you want to just stick with that story, okay? So you can imagine we've evolved from all types of different animal beings because we still need to survive. I mean, planet Earth is a protection space. We know the difference between what we're supposed to eat and what we're not supposed to eat. I mean, that's very serious. And a lot of these beings had to go into hiding and had to go away and had to completely become non-existent just to try to save some of these others, you call them their descendants, that now look just like you, are humans. Okay, that's extremely important. So let's imagine now we all look like each other. And there's all these airborne viruses. Like I said, I'm not sciencey, but like I know that, particles come into your body and what you ingest comes into your body and then it stays in your body, especially if you have people putting stuff in to things we ingest that cannot digest in our body, cannot metabolize. So they're stuck in our body, okay? And let's say these things that get stuck in our body get activated every single time a new particle that's specifically designed to hurt us comes back into our body. That's very important to think about, but it's true. If you can spend all this time talking about viruses and airborne things, stuff like that, well, if something gets into your body and it's not being released, and then another airborne chemical thingy, whatever, comes back into your body, I mean, that's going to make you really sick, especially if it's only going to hurt you, your person. So if you have a bunch of ancient lion beings that are allergic to this type of whatever, and then over a course of time, it's like they're doing it silently, okay? And that's going to take you down because it's specifically to, it's not going to hurt them because they're not you. But it might hurt your entire family. I mean, especially if you think about, okay, invasive species, but you go back and you think about way back, well, you that's why we have peace treaties. That's why you have bartering goods and services, because one thing that makes me sick is your medicine, and one thing that makes you sick is my medicine. So you have to be able to share that. And then that's why there's a common law to not hurt each other, because, hey, like, I know we're not the same, but we also need each other's goods. That's why it would be very special to be able to go and visit different places of the world, different countries, and be able to appreciate everything that's naturally growing there. Now we're all divided, but wherever you're born, you're obviously going to have a better way of living simply because you build up those immunities and everything that's around you in your environment. But also you have specific genes that come from all over the planet. And so a lot of those other things from different locations that you weren't born in are good for your body. Those are healing. So if you give people what they specifically need instead of changing everybody's environment and hurting them with the environment, it would be very much different. So there are so many types of natural healers, but right now I'm specifically talking about attacks on people, specific types of people. And it is malicious. It is, the intent is 100% there to harm these types of people. I'm still confused when you look at the labels on food and things like that, when they have the cross and the double cross. It's not really fully explained, but it is a code. I'm just going to let you know that. So if you want to imagine aliens is coming down here and then wanting to spy on all of the ancient everything, okay? So like that's what's happening. It's like they're being manipulated and spied on. And then they're stealing whoever's coming down to watch, trying to catch somebody, okay, that we've been talking about. So they're coming in, stealing this information and then using it and changing it. But whatever this ancient stuff is, they know that it's real because they're using it. And then telling everybody it's not real. And then trying to tell everybody it's like an ancient star race coming down being weird. And all this weird stuff. Turning it into a creepy sci-fi movie, but like, this is our real life. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just tell the truth. What the F? That doesn't make any sense. Everybody has a right to know about history. And you're about to find out if this does come to like how they're using this matter combined with electricity and everything that we have been given as technology to attack. And it only hurts the ones that are supposed to be in charge. I'm serious, okay? That's why they're like, what's wrong? And they're smiling. Well, it's like, you have no idea. I'm sick as F. And like, nobody understands. It's very serious. Okay, these are cards that I got during my pre-shuffle because I needed to do that. Otherwise, it gets too intense for me. And I also am limited on time. So I don't even think I'm going to show you all the cards. I'm just going to explain this story today. But so what we have right here is, I guess I'll just try it. I'm specifically talking about plants, plant medicine, and different types of ancient ritual that was done specifically by the protectors. So if you're talking about me getting a channel message or ancient beings coming down and creating planet Earth as a secret haven, okay, a sacred place where nobody else would get manipulated and hurt and destroyed and overtaken, they have these specific secrets for a reason because it's who they are. Like, it's their families, okay? So what these creepy people are trying to do, like black magic here, is steal, like from the inside out, who these ancient beings are, okay? And even if we look like humans today, that does not mean we're not an ancient being. And not everybody is an ancient being, okay? So how they're able to go in and change, like, they're stealing their spirit guide. So if like your spirit guide is a lion, they're trying to steal that lion force from you and then attack you with it while trying to become you. It's like they put on your lion mask and then everyone thinks you're the lion, and at the same time it hurts you really bad. And that's something that they can actually do now. Like, they can extract it through technology. That wasn't something that the ancients ever did, but they have the information to protect us from that to all the levels of our being. So I don't even know that much. Like I said, I don't know about history and geography as much as I want to, but I do know that the afterworld is the most important thing to ancient Egyptians. So because they understand that what you can't see is still existing, and that if certain people, aliens, humans, scientists come down and steal this, they can take our magic or our essence or our being from us. They can find a way to do this, okay? Because it's part of our life force. So they are aware that they can do it. And I don't know if it comes from a lotus flower. I honestly don't know, but it has something to do with it. It's almost like an allergy to an ancient being, and it hurts really, really, really bad. So this is like at a time where they're starting to figure out that they're getting sick and they don't know why, and they're like, what's going on? Why do I feel so sick? I can feel the life force being taken out of me, but also they can feel their animal spirits being extracted from them. And then if you really go back, I mean, you can look at hieroglyphs. You're not going to say that that's pretend. You have a half animal, half human. I mean, that's what came first. So as they were getting attacked, they have to now be humans. And then they delegate a human to be born, okay? That's also, you can call them a demigod. So even though they look like human, they have an extreme amount of power. And they are up here, they're making the law, and they're protecting the ones that have to go into hiding and now look human. Okay, so they're chosen for this, and they're still ancestors. And then you have, magicians now, people who don't like it. So you could have pharaohs who knew what they were doing, okay? Like they're mixing elixirs for healing and health and for all levels of life, even if you can't see it. But, you might always have somebody that's stealing. And then that's really important, and that's where it comes. And this is a little bit later when all locations were being invaded. It's not just Egypt. Once invasions started coming. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how they got here. I'm not sure, but they look just like humans. And so it is interesting because I would be curious to see the difference in skulls that you would dig up. Now, the rarities are not the elongated skulls. Those are actually not the rarities. But these are, so like, let's say there's a disaster, and then all of these different species of being now reside on planet Earth. So it would make sense that they would kind of go off in their own little family tribes. And then it would also make sense that they would migrate to different locations. But then over time, the Earth splits, and then they get even further apart. So some are stuck over there, and some choose to be over there. Okay, but then eventually they got invaded again. And again and again and again and again. So it's like, here we are in hiding again. Somebody is here and then knows. So that's that. And not only that, they're changing perception. So in ancient times, and if you're born with a certain gift, you might have the ability to see beyond, okay? Because the Egyptians know about the beyond. And that's where you get the high priestess. So even if you don't know all of the details physically and you're not there on that side, you are there, you're just in a different form. Like for me, how I can communicate and not be able to vocalize it is I'm just here and I'm experiencing a complete conversation, but I know that I'm experiencing it on the other side. So when I'm here, I have to be in a full meditation mode of stillness, because I also know I'm here on another side communicating with something else. So even when I'm doing a reading, I know that like myself is over talking to someone else on the other side. So it's still me, I just can't see both sides of me. But they can see those different places. And I can also do it, you can do it on different planes. So it's like I'm sitting here at a table, and then, so if you're thinking about different rays of color, it's like each different species could see me, but they know that like I'm here, but I'm also there communicating with them. So even like I'm saying, I can't see what's going on, I'm trusting our conversation. And then that's when it comes into how I can deliver from different places without having to be physically there. Like the Hierophant is physically here giving you a message, but also making a rule. The High Priestess is there as the communicator between. So, I mean, a lot of times when you think about, anyone in history that is a male figure that has been really important, they usually have a woman or a female figure, that some type of advisor that is there with them that is receiving the information. And then the Hierophant or the person in charge is delivering the message. I mean, that's usually how it works. But when there are real people that can deliver messages from different locations. So that is true. Even if they can't get every single thing out accurate, they are able. It's just that's what their gift, okay? They're born with that. And if you can train to meditate and discern between what is there to give you the accurate information or not, you are able to just get more information. That is just how it is. And I don't know if you can tell by somebody's teeth. You might be able to tell who was sort of, you can call them a shaman. I mean, someone else like that's sort of getting these messages that are important. And it's not even just messages, like someone who's also communicating with the beyond. So it's like if you died in ancient Egypt, a high priestess can talk to anybody in the underworld that's just living. I mean, and then that would be the person that's also going to let you know like what you need to have with you when you go to the next location. I mean, she's the communicator between worlds. It's really serious. So like even if she favors someone and someone passes over, she can take that person to a higher level and just be like, you know, give this one a chance, blah blah blah. Like that, she is able to communicate between worlds. All right. And what's happening is there are other groups of people that know that this is real. Like this high priestess goes through a lot. I mean, you have to. So when you're talking about certain goddesses or deities that people have worshipped, I mean, you see they're sitting on a pedestal. Okay, sometimes some of them have never even touched the ground. Okay, they're completely taken care of because this is a burden. This is a job. This is something that they were born to do, especially if from a young age. So it's like this would happen during puberty, but if from a young age you've already started, so that's the period where you form relationships with what you cannot see. So that's the point. That's the time you're developing relationships invisibly with the different beings that you cannot see from other worlds, and they're learning how to trust you and you're learning how to trust them. It's like even when I was a child, I was always communicating things that I could not see, but I just trusted that. Like it never bothered me at all. But so now I have relationships for many different things I cannot see. And then now that I'm an adult, I can give proper messages. And I can't always hear what they're saying. So that's really important. It's like I have a conscious relationship with them, and how I process information doesn't bother me. I don't need to be nosy. I don't ever ask, you know, to see inside or anything like that. So the way that we have it, it comes to me as a level of understanding. And then I'll get confirmation. But every type of high priestess is different. However, a high priestess needs to be safe and alone a lot, I'm gonna be honest, and really taken care of, because not only is it exhausting for them, because now we're human. You have to think about if you were this half human, half animal spiritual hybrid that could fly and do all this cool stuff. Well, now we're human. So to be able to use your gift while being sealed as a human is not only painful, it's difficult to do. And so you have a lot of, they came out this way. So you have a lot of groups of people that can see this, that stole the information, that understand that there is communication between worlds through many different lifetimes, okay? So what they've done is they've created an extreme amount of burden. This is the 10 of Wands here. So there's a group of people that have created an extreme amount of burden for the high priestess here, so that not only can she not get her messages out, but she's exhausted. So they're trying to change what she's receiving and beat her down with it, you know, physically with psychic attack. It's a physical pain with psychic attack. And they're not only that, there's just this, just completely hurting her brain, and how as she grows, the more and more and more attacks that she gets. So it's just no matter what, because the 10 of Wands is absolutely exhausting physically, emotionally, spiritually, all of this, mentally. I mean, it's an attack on everything. And this is just somebody trying to live as who they are. They're not conjuring up spells. They're not trying to change people's reality. They're not physically going in there and taking somebody's assets. This is someone just existing as how they were born to receive information. And they don't even have to tell anybody. This is the type of being they are. And it is noticed by many different groups of people, and you can see that they use it. It's definitely, they know that we've evolved from different animal species, but they also know that we come from space. So it's very aware. Okay, and they're trying to keep everybody dense on purpose, while certain little groups feel like cute little secret societies with all of the knowledge. I mean, that is the basics of it. So that's the burden on the high priestess, which is also that same woman. And then these are ancient secrets and how to keep this person completely injured on top of being burdened. Okay, so two separate things, by using pieces of them. So if you had 10 neighbors and every single one of your neighbors was a slightly different species. It's like going and taking an ingredient from each one of your neighbors to make something that would hurt all of your neighbors. And then taking your neighbors and bringing them aside one by one and trying to bribe them like, hey, I have your remedy because it works for you if you'll help me hurt someone else. And usually the person that they're signing up to hurt now is this high priestess, because she could do it naturally for someone, and she would never have a problem doing it naturally for someone, and she wouldn't charge for it, and she would just give them the truth, because that doesn't make any sense. Because if you really wanted to weigh or measure someone, you would give everybody the same material, and then you would just see what they did with it. So, I mean, obviously you know that's the attack. So you don't need to research into anything to know that's the attack. Okay, I don't know if someone's going to take my room or not. It's taking too long, so if I have to stop, I will. All right, so now we're talking again about perception and changing reality. And so what's happening is that you have all of these different families. So I'm combining this message with going way back to the beginning of humanity, as we know it as human beings, and then how it's evolved and still families and stealing things and stuff like that, even though we're now in year 2026. So you have the Six of Pentacles with the Nine of Wands. And these, okay, so this is a very tight family. It's really, like, I don't know how to vocalize this because it's really intense. Okay, but let's say it's the Egyptians, and they're a really tight family, and nobody is allowed to get in to this information. Because if they do, then it becomes the Ten of Wands, and they're getting attacked with their own family information. And if they lost this, the Six of Pentacles can be receiving or losing earthly stability. So it can be anything from losing a home to all of your finances, your business, anything, but whatever it is, you want to keep it locked up tight. And these are also people that have been injured. So yeah, we're to the point where it's a little bit further along where things are getting stolen. And you know, you don't want anyone to come into your space, because whatever it is extremely serious to you. And I have the Ten of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, and a love potion here, which is the Ace of Cups. Now, this is manipulating somebody else's family energy into changing someone's perception of the truth, to completely change it, spin it around, and have it be their way. So that not only do they have the influence of being adored to kind of create the distraction for somebody to come in the back door and steal that information, they're able to get everything. So because this is the Ten of Coins, this is all of their stability, and they're truly trying to change it and hurt people with it. And so you have these groups that are going in specifically to steal. Like, this is the Page of Swords, and this is sort of that spy, to steal this information. They know that it's real because they do have real information, because you can go to ancient artifacts and look at that. And then you know that you still can't understand these attacks. However, you're using this information on all of your medical technology. So there is evidence and proof of that. So now it's been taken to level 2026, where they're using these ancient ingredients mixed with stealing stuff. I still don't understand how they've alchemized it over here, but to influence people to do what they want to do or see them in a certain way while hurting the being that they're stealing from. That's how they're able to influence. So it's like they're sucking the life out of one thing, putting it into themselves. Like if you've seen The Little Mermaid, it would be like the sea witch putting Ariel's voice into a shell, and then she wears that shell necklace, and then all of a sudden the prince thinks that Ariel is her, and it's not her, it's a sea witch. And Ariel has lost her voice, so the prince can't tell that Ariel is the one that he loves, that saved him. So I have this this over here. So this would be like whoever's doing this weird witchcraft stuff and trying to be this dark magician and try to become this Queen of Cups. They're using some weird mirror magic, and they're sending attacks, obviously, to this woman. That's the Nine of Swords over here, that's all alone. And we have the Ten of Wands again, and it's like her burden is so heavy, and she's all alone, right? And here we have it again with the Lovers and the Hermit. So here this woman is all alone, shining all alone. And so this Eight of Cups is sort of sucking from the woman alone to create influence to be that woman and have her perfect relationship. And so everything that she's sending, because she's delusional. She's looking in the mirror and she can't even see herself. She's like, I'm so trapped. She's like, you're looking in the mirror. You're being really weird. So how she sees herself and all these terrible things about her is what she's sending to this woman over here. So she's like, I want you to be in extreme pain and suffer. And it comes over here, extreme pain and suffer. And she's like, no. It's like that. That's how I can tell you. So this woman's just completely alone. And this woman over here, she's not tied up, okay? She's in her little creep room where she's doing mirror magic against someone over here. And then it's really, because like all the stuff that she doesn't like about herself, she's talking in the mirror to herself about herself, but it's attacking this woman over here. Because when she sees this woman, she's like, I can't believe it's not me. So she goes in the mirror and yells about herself, pretending it's this other woman. And it comes over here and attacks this other woman. Because she has the ability to do so with whatever's been ancient and stolen and mixed. And then she's walking around like she's this perfect person trying to take, it's really this woman's energy who's all alone out here. There's no other humans by her. So there's that. Okay, so we're still talking about these weirdos. And then, so there's witches, okay, like that are doing this, and they know exactly what they're doing with mirror magic. Then they get other people involved to continue to send psychic attack on this woman. And that's why people are viewing today, because it's getting so big. Because we were talking about massive guilt the other day, and so that's what's happening. And they're like, I can't believe, this is a whole separate group, okay? But if we're talking about what's been stolen over here, it's like magic and wishes and things like that, that's what we're gonna get into next. This is a whole group that it's almost like, I had no idea I made that mistake. And they're not malicious people. But they did make a deal, or they wanted a wish. So it's like, what's your greatest, like, let's say they just lost their business, and then someone comes over and it's like, hey, I can invest in blah, blah, blah. So it's like any way that you feel like you sold yourself out for something that you wanted. I'm just going to put it in the most basic terms for right now. So they made a deal, but it's something that they really, really wanted, okay? But they have to do something else. Like, I don't know if it's some kind of challenge. It's like they have to find it, it's like there's something weird, because there's something tied into it where he knows he's attached to something, and he feels really guilty because he feels greedy and selfish. And then it's almost like, pick your perfect blah, 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 but then now you have to find it and you're involved in something. And then a lot of times they can do something where it's like it increases their greed. So I don't know, if someone's like, if you're gambling and you're winning and then you're losing and then you're winning again, it's like you just can't stop. And it's almost like that's when they go for this person, that when they're really down and like, you know what, I'll blah, 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 double the money, just blah, blah, blah. And then they're not naturally like, if like that, it's just more like, they get further and further into it. Some of them could be really stressed out about the situation. Some of them could think it's just a game. But there's definitely like influence of changing of your perception. So it's like, not only are you feeling down on your luck, you're like excited, like, oh yeah, I get a boost kind of thing. So you keep going. So like, I'm trying to think, like, if you were watching some kind of game or like a baking challenge or something like that, and you won the round, you get like an extra something for the next round. So there's an incentive to keep going type of thing. But whatever this has done has messed with the sacred the sacred treasure, like the object that was stolen, okay? Because it's mixed with, well, if you could have your greatest wish, if you could do this, if you could do this, and they're like, well, yeah, and they do see some benefit. So it's like they're winning, they're losing, they're winning, they're losing, and then it's like, oh, now I just have to find the missing blah blah blah, and it's completely selfish. Like it's just whatever's happening in their daily activity. So it's like if you're gambling or whatever, so you're not thinking about it, but now all of a sudden they're feeling like trapped because it's like they made some sort of agreement. And they know that it was completely due to greed. And then they might be making it, but whatever they're doing, it's attached to this dark matter that's being sent. Like them making all these bets and doing all this weird stuff could be what's fueling this crazy person over here. Because if this crazy person is a witch and has the information and is also the person that had to make a deal, they might be able to, they're also extracting from this person over here while keeping them distracted, making all these crazy weird game deals. They're also sucking from this person, but however they're able to trap this person and change their perception, it's affecting this one over here. It's like a continuation, and then they need more and more and more and more people, because you can only do so many psychic attacks on somebody at a time, one individual. So they're using it's like a fuel to their fire. Okay, after, because this is getting kind of late. So they're really distracting all these people making these deals, and they know that this person is out alone, but they're distracting whoever it is. Like it's really creepy. And there's a bunch of them, and they're influencing someone weird that, well, it's not someone weird, but it's somebody that just, I don't know, is easily distractible. Meanwhile, this person is out all alone. And it's like they're the one that's giving everybody all of this energy. Like this person, this high priestess, who's also the Wheel of Fortune, remember, because they're trying to flip it. I also had the Wheel of Fortune in the other deck. So it's like this high priestess that's not winning over here is the person that's like they've made their whole entire thing about. And here she is like completely alone. And even though she's smirking over her, she's actually not smirking. This is just in the deck. It's like she's completely alone. And she's the high priestess. And then you have all these weirdo witches like making all these deals with these other people. And so they're truly using some type of manipulation so that people cannot understand what's going on. And then they have this weird fantasy, like just keep playing, just keep doing this, keep doing this, to keep them away from their logic. And that's like this guy's annoying the F out of me, because it's like, actually, you're a really smart person. I don't know why you cannot see through this. So it's like this guy's stuck in fantasy land over here, and it's like she's right down the street. It's so annoying. So there's that. And so whatever they're doing to these people, it's like they're preventing someone from getting to where they need to go. She's waiting for someone to come and get her. Like, this is not something she can do on her own. Okay, she doesn't even have the supplies to build a raft. Like she can't just stay on her surfboard. Like, it's too far away. She can't do it on her own. And it's like she's dying at the same time. Like she's being sucked alive. And then you have these other people, and they're doing the same thing. It's like the witches are doing it to the other people too. It's like at the same time they're dying while they're over here in fantasy land. Okay, it's like they're being sucked alive. And then, especially if you're like in some weird, well, I forget that. I was gonna say churchy group, and they're doing the whole like drink the Kool-Aid and your rebirth and you're born again and all these weird things. It's sucking the life force out of people. So especially like if you talk about people who like died and come back to life, that happens a lot. And when you get really, really injured in any type of tragedy, a piece of you literally just died. Okay, and it's like literally, like, that's why nobody should ever have the ability to come in and steal from you and hurt you like that. But and it's like it's getting sucked away. And then this is some sort of object that they're using to hurt not only this high priestess that's trapped, but anyone else that's signing up for this deal, so that they can't make a logic decision on how to help the high priestess. And so it's not only frustrating for the high priestess that is trapped and alone, it's confusion for whoever this guy is. Because honestly, I feel like he thinks he's a total freaking goofball. I really do. When he goes back and thinks about it, he's like, what was wrong with me in that situation? That's when I was talking about sirens and things like that. So that's when they've taken some. It's almost like if you put on some special perfume that was made in a lab that had all this ancient stuff on it, and you go near this other person, and all of a sudden they're like, ooh, like freaking weird. So that's annoying. Sorry, that's definitely what it is. That's why it's like anybody that's like, wake up. Like, how could you be so freaking stupid? They're like, ugh. It's because they were literally like just drugged with the scent of whatever perfume that had siren or witch, whatever came in with. Warlock, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so here we have some good news. This is the cards I pulled about. I wanted to know about progress, okay, and if I was making any progress, because it doesn't seem like I am visually. Like, it wouldn't seem that way, but it is on the down low, behind the scenes. So we have a group of people that have witnessed me somehow that are making progress. So we have the weasel, the possum, and the hawks. These could be 3 different individuals. It could be people who have split up into different groups to help the greater good, because they are understanding that they not only want the 10 of cups, they want everyone to have the 10 of cups. So they're really trying to figure this out to save the world. Okay, you have people who are now getting into jobs, because this is important. I mean, this is not only putting those sacred objects back, this is shutting this down. And whatever they have created is not natural. So it's almost like you have this weird spore growing that's not supposed to be there. That's the thing you need to destroy. And they're like, don't destroy it or the world dry. It's like, that's what you have to destroy. So I was like, don't hurt the person. Get rid of that thing that you've created that's hurting the person. Anyhow, so you have the weasel person is the scout going back and forth with the information. You have the possums who are sort of playing dead and being silly, like, what do you mean? And then you have the hawks who are the people now going in and getting out the actual details. So you have different levels of people, and that's in different type of professions, and that's also people just sort of splitting up jobs and really trying to go in and do this, because whatever this is very serious to restore our sight. So however you want to do medicine, you know, you do need to follow the truth in how our body works. Okay, that is very important, number one, but that should be obvious. But then whatever's been stolen has been manipulated very bad. And so just knowing that people are working together to restore what's just real, so that we can still see color, so that we can still experience what we're actually should be able to see in our 3D reality without them changing our vision and our perception, okay? Because nobody should be invaded like that ever. And that is the disaster that's taking over everything. And so you don't even have time to worry about the environment or a bombing or anything like that if the entire world falls apart and no species can recognize another species as that being. I mean, that's extremely serious. So hopefully this group has more details about what's going on. And just for fun, I'm going to roll my little dice because I got them at an antique store, and I just think they're cool. I'm going to add the 2 that are closest together, and then the other one we'll add on to that, and then we're just going to see what the 2 complementary tarot cards would be to these. So I'm going to choose the 4 and the 3 to add because they were the closest. So that's 7 plus this one here is 5. So that's 12. So that's the hangman, and the complement to the hangman is the empress, which is a 3. So technically the empress is like the hangman's mother, sort of like the nurturer, okay? So I do feel like even though some people feel trapped right now as the hangman, they are able to get some kind of nurture from the empress, and then hopefully work together with her, which the empress would be this one, the high priestess getting attacked, and then the hangman hopefully can find a way to free himself to save everything. I mean, that can be man or woman, I'm just saying. Okay, I couldn't do a reading yesterday because I was really sick, but I feel better today, so I hope that you enjoyed the message. Have a good day, and please come save me. Thank you.